They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So that you said that they put millions of my should a murderer go to jail? Should a thief go to jail? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog.
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacles sat in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never our home. Only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. The fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles will make it official. I'm capturing every crack and surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cages, safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash. Get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
You see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog.
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood slump. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I got gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember YAHANNA's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in his body, you fit a Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is served cold, I just hope they make an oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear they got that new car smell. Made myself a top in the world of mad shooters. That was designed fire for our babies to pass through. In the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
You see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog.
Wrap it up. All right. Welcome to another episode in the conflict zone. All right, we're looking at tonight now. We're looking at Esau's blessing is his sword. We're looking at the Venezuelan oil. What did I write word to say now? Venezuelan oil theft.
Yeah, kind of one can. That sound about right.
And we're going to look at Haiti when they invaded Haiti because it's the same script we see being replayed. It was the same script they did in, they tried it in Iraq.
Kind of one can.
But in Haiti, they did it in 1915. All right? And it was successful to their favor. And I mean, look at Haiti today. To the point where the same president, before he became president, referred to the Haitians as what? Let me call him again.
SHALAM, I don't remember, sir.
When I mean say them eating the dogs and they eating the cats.
Yeah, kind of one can.
I think he had put them in line with what they call the African country, the S-Wall country,
Oh,
the Reciprocal country.
one can.
I think he had put them in line with that. But and at the same time, cursing Haiti when they were the ones who made Haiti impoverished. And then we see the same thing now coming to replay with Venezuela.
Right.
Because what they did with Haiti is that they took Haiti's gold. So they invaded Haiti. Obviously, Haiti was handling them own when it comes to banking. Because the French was peeling off Haiti and it was very lucrative, even though the Haitians had fought them off. It was very lucrative for the French. And then the Americans came in, took over, and it seemed to be very lucrative for the Americans as well. Well, we can say that because the time has enough time, more than 100 years ago. And you see where that money went into into New York Federal, into right there into New York City Bank. And then that bank is one of the most powerful banks, or one of the powerful banks in America today, in New York. And look at Haiti. So Venezuela is about to experience a similar thing. But my word to them is, forget the narrative, cry unto God. Cry unto God, man. You know that you are an Israelite. You cry unto God. You are the original people of God. All right. First thing I want to jump into, before we touch on the scripture, I want to play what Trump said about Venezuela. I mean, this man have no qualms in stating that, hey, listen, the oil will come for
God.
I don't care. We're here for the oil, man. You want to talk about freeing prisoners and something? Hey, tell you what, we'll deal with that later. Right now, we need to get in the big oil companies and start. There's a lot of money on the. We start making some money.
God.
This man is something else. All right, share this. I'm just feeling. Where is it?
country until such time. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transitions. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. We built an oil industry with American talent, drive, and skill, and the socialist regime stole it from us during those previous administrations, and they stole it through force. This constituted one of the largest thefts of American property in the history of our country. Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect, in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied.
All right, so we'll talk about
Hi, I'm Steve Clemens, and I have a question.
Armada, that is the ship, remains in possession. Meaning that the ships that were there are still there, and they're going to be there until the American position or this demand is being met. But when you look at it, what's the difference now with what he's doing and what Russia was trying to accomplish? They call Russia, talk about Russian aggression and what's it not. Which way they are doing a similar thing. As a matter of fact, Russia is not trying to take the resources of Ukraine. Russia is saying, get out this the influence of the Nazis.
Right.
Because prior to the invasion, what was happening in Ukraine, they were making changes, even by laws, to get out the Russian influence and the Russian culture. Which in way, Ukraine was already approximately 60% cultural Russian. Majority of Russian, of Ukrainian influence, called heritage or bloodline then, let's use bloodline, was Russian.
Right.
And, they were becoming like Nazi, or the Nazi Germany was operating. So it lead. They tried other ways, it comes down to invasion. Same thing with Venezuela. They have been trying to take over Venezuela from probably about before Chavez. And then Chavez went in and, I remember they took out Chavez for 3 days. And the man who was to come in, the dictator that was to come in, didn't please America. They never too like how him sounds. So they put him back, and then people was clamoring back for Chavez. So they was bringing back Chavez. And Chavez did it time. And now, after being $1 trillion in debt payment, annual debt payment, they have approximately $38 trillion in debt, with a $1 trillion annual debt servicing, and 700 military bases to be maintained. When we were growing up, you used to hear your parents tell you, don't hang your hat where you can't reach it, which means don't put yourself in a financial situation or an economic situation that you can't manage.
Right.
Right? So, this was told to us as young men and told to the young women too. And we see where amongst us, we see where, young men do those things and it leads to a life of crime. And now you have America, who is the richest country in the world, doing the same thing. You take on some financial situations where you can manage,
God.
and now you end up stealing.
Right.
You went after Iraq oil, you spent so many money over there, and you get some oil, yes, while you were there, but you come out the country, you need more oil now. Coming back in Venezuela, now you say you're going to stay there for as long as it takes. I mean, at least the mask is off now. In Iraq, they talk about what was it the thing they use? Terrorists and weapons of
Weapon of mass destruction. God on God.
mass destruction. And here they talk about Venezuela. They say what?
Um,
And
narco terrorists.
narco terrorists, right?
Okay.
Say Venezuela president a drug pusher.
God on God.
It was a similar narrative. Well, not like that, but they pushed the same anti-American narrative against Haiti. How the Asians were becoming too friendly and close with the Germans. Because the Germans was doing good business in Haiti. And what is interesting, when they went into Haiti, after they invaded Haiti, they didn't trouble the Germans. They kill off a whole heap of Haitian and take over the Haitian government. But the narrative for going into Haiti was, the German influence is growing too much, and that is going to push out the American influence. Yet when they go in, they did not trouble it. So, that's just Esau.
God on
Esau
God.
don't worry about anything, man.
God.
His belly need fooling now. That's what he's concerned about.
Right.
All right, let's jump into one nice scriptures. We have a couple of scripture. Jeremiah 50, verse 4 to 7.
God on God. God on God. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 4.
50.
Chapter 50, verse 4. In those days and in that time, said the Lord, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Lord their God. Verse 5. They shall ask the way to Zion, with their faces thitherward, saying, come and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be broken. Slakia, forgotten.
All right, so in those days, most time we see this in the scriptures referring to the last days here. So in those days, in the last days, and at that particular time, the children of Israel and the children of Judah. And we know that the children of Israel is the northern kingdom, which is the 10 tribes. And the children of Judah is not referring to just the Judites in America, but is referring to Judah and Benjamin. Going and weeping, they shall go and seek Yahweh their God. So, these happen for us to really bond and push together. It happened with Haiti. When it happened with Haiti, the truth wasn't being born. The truth wasn't out as yet, But now the truth is out. And, we have men in the school who speak Spanish and run the news, and we have been doing so, running the news on the Spanish-speaking Venezuela, those who speak English and end up in Trinidad, run the word on them. You are an Israelite.
Right.
Catholicism is not your religion. Catholicism was imposed on you. Most of the Spanish countries there over this side, it's Catholics.
Right.
Right? So what we see now, and when the Americans went into Haiti, they didn't really push religion. It was a hardcore stealing and putting the Haitians under manners. So black man can't govern themselves. Before you go in the country, you complain about the German influence. Then after you go in the country, you kill how many thousands of Haitians and you don't kill a German.
Right.
I mean, what's the latest news on Maduro and the drug pushing? Since they take up Maduro, any boat, they blow up any boat?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about any more boat being blown up. So,
all right, early days. But, so you have to try to tell me now, say, Maduro out now, so those who are pushing the drugs give up.
Right.
I doubt that. But from what I heard, they killed, it was the Cubans who were the guard for the president of Venezuela. I hear that they kill all of them.
Gun.
Even the maids in the presidential palace, they kill everybody. Unless Maduro and his wife. And just went on a killing spree. That is Esau.
Gun.
How they send him? They send special force in. I think it was the Navy. A Navy SEAL, let's say, going.
I think they refer to them as the CIA. It was the CIA, sir. And they refer to them as the warriors or something like that.
The CIA don't have a military thing there. They work with one of them government body there.
Okay, good.
Unless they use military contractor, private military contractor under the CIA. But, I mean, these men are just outright dirty.
Right.
All right, I want to look at the Asian overview. What the American, what do you call this now? The U.S. Department of State archive. You seen that?
Gun. Zoom in a bit if you could now, Baba Kwasha.
Better. The more we zoom in, the more right. So this document is the U.S. Department of State, from the U.S. Department of State archive, 2001 to 2009, and this of the U.S. invasion and occupation of Haiti, 1915 to 1934. All right, you want to read for me?
Gun. U.S. invasion and occupation of Haiti, 1915 to 1934. Under interventionist policies of the early 20th century, President Woodrow Wilson sent the United States
Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson sent the United States Marine into Haiti to restore order and maintain political and economical stability in the Caribbean after the assassination of the Haitian president in July of 1915. This occupation continued until 1934.
So, all right, precursor to this invasion now. I think Haiti had changed about 6 presidents within 4 years. You see in Europe, since lately as well, England changed a couple number of prime ministers in a short period of time too, and other countries. It was a time it was Greece. America don't invade them country then.
Okay.
But you know who is behind this in Haiti? Because if you have so many presidents being changed in a short time, and then you go and come now and say, "Oh, we're going in." You know, then they don't know that you are the one behind the instability. Read on.
Right. The United States government had been interested in Haiti for decades prior to its occupation as a potential naval base for the United States and other imperialist powers. Haiti's stability was of great interest to U.S. diplomatic and defense officials who feared instability might result in foreign rule of Haiti. In 1868, President Andrew Johnson suggested the annexation of the island of Hispaniola, made up of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, to secure a U.S. defensive and economic state in the West Indies. State, Kanonka. From 1889 to 1891, Secretary of State James Blaine unsuccessfully sought a lease of Mole St. Nicholas, a city on Haiti's northern coast, strategically located for a naval base. In 1910, President William Howard Taft granted Haiti a large loan in hopes that Haiti could pay off its international debts, thus lessening foreign influence. The attempt proved futile due to the enormity of the debt and the internal instability of the country.
Right. So, see, them same one now start pump money on them. That's why I'm saying that it's a big loan where you see our prime minister getting because of the hurricane. Have to be very careful.
Yeah.
That same thing might come back to bite us 10 or more years from now. Next thing you hear them say, "Oh, we have got to take over Jamaica now." You know? Why? Because we have rare or out here, and it's right in America's backyard, and they find it, and it's in sustainable quantity. So, you know, they will come for it. Hold on, and then our puppet government who always bend the knee to the Americans, and love the cross between the Esau stove. They will play right in their hands, and knowingly play in their hands because they have done it already. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, when a country take a loan, they have to use something as collateral for your loan?
No, you don't.
Okay, come on.
You provide no collateral because as a government, what they look on is your ability to repay. So once you have good GDP, you will get a good loan.
Okay.
and chances, and you will be able to pay, to repay. Because I remember our government can just come up and say new tax, and this tax is going towards paying off a loan. So you can always put what they call tribute. You can always put a tribute on you.
Can.
All right. Say, all right, tourism is doing good. Extra 5% on tourism, so and so. Next thing you know, you can't like a bag of money, you just go towards debt servicing. Just like that. So these big banks, they don't. Is one of these. Unless the country end up in some grave natural disaster or economic unrest, your money is basically one of the safest loan you can lend to anybody. Because if them run out of money, they can always pay tax. They can always draw tax to repay. You with your private business can't do that. I mean, you have a business, you're making something, business in manufacturing, and you get a loan and then you can't pay your loan. What can you do? You can't think of necessarily say, all right, I'm going to raise the price of my product. You might just raise it and it don't sell. When the government say I'm going to raise the tax, if you don't pay that raised tax, you're going to prison. You understand? So they are left with what's the word now? They are left with that leverage. So you could call that leverage now the security for the loan. However, when a country lend you money, they can hold it to it and they can't pay and they send their army on you. Because sometimes they can give you the loan in such a way that, like in this case, in Haiti case, you give them the loan in such a way that even if them raise taxes, they can't cover it. Because when they get in the money, it feels nice and good, and whoever is in power look at the possibility of taking some for himself.
Yeah.
Not really business much or not them down.
Can.
Yeah.
Two hours.
How far reach now? France as the former colonizer of Haiti. That's it, right?
Can. France, as a former colonizer of Haiti, retained strong economic and diplomatic ties with the government there. In the 1824 Franco-Haitian Agreement, France agreed to recognize Haiti's Haitian independence if Haiti paid a large indemnity. This kept Haiti in a constant state of debt and put France in a position of power over Haiti's trade and finances.
So, I mean, Esau thing is always money. The bottom line of Esau action is money. Money. Or in other words, in belly.
Right.
Right? So, as long as in belly, all right. I'm all right. So, it's a few years now, financially they were okay. So, a lot of these, a lot of their own people don't even know that they are so wicked against each other.
Right.
Right? That's why they couldn't believe that, IC agent shoot. They make it seem, I don't know, maybe the IC agent was a Hispanic person. Or was a white person, they say. Someone was a white person. And it was somebody who was out for revenge. So, and getting revenge now, shoot, oh, now shoot back somebody, you know, somebody do me something on the road and oh, I won't catch a white woman. But it's the right thing, man. Because the white woman has always been at the forefront of the start of any conflict within America there. All our cities and things that get broken down. It's either a white woman get killed, a white girl get raped, get assaulted, some lies. Well, guess what? Esau can bring down his own country on the truth of what he has been doing to his own white women.
Right.
Right? So, you know, France here so now come up strong economic ties, and but what did Haiti have to do to get that? Give France a large amount of money. I read in another article when the Haitians did that, they had to close down their hospitals and schools, a lot of the public facilities, just to pay off the French. And they survived that. And coming up, and the Americans looking at them like, what? Get some money in, you know. This is like Greece, the Greeks in Maccabees all over. This is like the Greeks. They come in, they were given money, they went away, then they come back again 2-3 years after, collect some more money and burn the whole place down. Alright, read that.
Come. Although unhappy about Haiti's close connection to France, policymakers in the United States were more concerned about increased German activity and influence in the country. In the beginning of the 20th century, German presence in Haiti increased as German merchants began establishing trading branches in Haiti, quickly dominating commercial business in the area. German men married Haitian women to get around laws denying foreigners land ownership and establish roots in the Haitian community. The United States considered Germany its chief rival in the Caribbean and feared German control of Haiti would give them a powerful advantage in the area.
You see, that's the narrative they push forward. Just like what they talk about the narco shipments and blowing up boats and this and that. And you get the man who you say behind this pushing up drugs, and the first thing you talk about is the island in country.
Yeah.
If your problem is this man pushing drugs over there to you, then try him on that grounds. All right, read on. I want to get to when them take out the money.
Gun. Increased instability in Haiti in the years before 1915 led to heightened action by the United States to deter foreign influence. Between 1911 and 1915, 7 presidents were assassinated or overthrown in Haiti, increasing U.S. policymakers' fear of foreign intervention. In 19...
that, if you could get to the bottom of that, them same one did push that. Them same one push that because the same policymakers have their eye on Haiti for quite a while, so they come up with scheme. And the thing with them, they will plan a scheme for 30 years or maybe more than how they can come take away your things.
Right.
So what they do, what they do to Venezuela now, that just plan. And since Trump coming office, that plan, Trump coming office and just take up one of the plan that was already there. There were other plans when I executed. They want going to Iran too. And before you know it, America become the largest oil dealer in the world and give back strength to the US dollar. Because now, right now, what is happening? China buying oil from Russia in yuan. Yuan, they call it? Yeah, the Chinese yen. Right? India buying from Russia in their money. Well, China and India, they are the two biggest one consumer now, who buy Russian oil. They buy in their money, and that is weakening the US dollar. So when they come and they control Iran oil and control Venezuela oil. You're going to buy oil in US dollar, and then that will be used. That because remember it was a petrodollar that strengthened the US dollar. When Saudi Arabia became the largest oil producer and said, hey, everybody going to have to buy oil in American dollar, and thus that strengthened the US dollar and push the pound sterling out of its strength. I mean, it still have some strength, especially in Jamaica now when it comes to purchasing power. But in terms of international trade, in US dollar, you're really trading. And even if a country will accept a payment in pound, then you have to equate how much pound equal that amount of US that the thing is value, or the item is value. Right, so them come up with this thing about foreign influence getting too strong in Haiti. All right, read on. Let's see how it play out.
Gun. Slovakia. When we did the third paragraph.
The part that says increased stability.
Gun. Right.
Pick up from between 1911 and 1915. Oh yeah, you read that part there. 7% overthrow. Yeah.
Gun. So it's in 1914, the Wilson administration sent Marines into Haiti who removed $500,000 from the Haitian National Bank in December of 1914 for safekeeping in New York, thus giving the U.S. control of the bank.
So this $500,000 in 1914 would be equivalent to about 16 million in today's day.
But 16 million or billion?
Million. Approximately 16. The purchasing power would be about 16 million. It would work more, but the purchasing power is about 16 million. When you take into investment and what you could have done with it, it would value more. But it wasn't cash that they took. It was the Asian gold. They took out Haiti's gold reserve. Right? So when they value it at today's money, they're not even valued it at the market value for gold. Real.
Gun. In 1915, Haitian President John Wilbram Kiliami Sam was assassinated, and the situation in Haiti quickly became unstable. In response, President Wilson sent the U.S. Marines to Haiti, claiming the invasion was an attempt to prevent anarchy. In reality, the Wilson administration was protecting U.S. assets in the area and preventing a possible German invasion.
So if it was preventing a German invasion, why not set up a military base? Why take out the people their money? Why
Right.
trouble their money? If you think somebody's going to invade Jamaica and you are so concerned, what you should be doing is come and set up a military base in Jamaica and help the Jamaican government.
Right.
Our national reserve or bank should be your interest. All right, read on and finish that paragraph.
Gun. The invasion ended with the Haitian-American Treaty of 1915. The article of this agreement created a Haitian gendarmerie, essentially a military force made up of Americans and Haitians and controlled by the U.S. Marines. The United States gained complete control over Haitian finances and the right to intervene in Haiti whenever the U.S. government deemed necessary. The U.S. government also forced the election of a new pro-American president, Philippe Dartiginev, by the
Philippe, yeah man, go ahead. Philippe Dartiginev, whatever. I think it's a French-based name.
by the Haitian legislature in August of 1950. The selection of a president that did not represent the choice of the Haitian populace increased unrest in Haiti.
Right. So it was the same thing that was happening in Ukraine. A similar thing before the invasion. The Russian put in a president who was pro-Russian. America, I don't remember if they killed him. I think they killed him and take him out and put in a pro-American president. Russia take him up and so till Zelensky reached in there. And then Russia just said, you know what? It looks like this thing is only a military solution. We've solved this thing. And thus he invaded. But the thing with Haiti, I have a video, I'm going to play that video. And I'm going to see who was it that was agitating for the Haitian invasion. It wasn't even a military agitation. It was somebody in the banking sector. All right, that is. We'll touch our scripture and then we'll go to that. Isaiah 54, 3 to 6.
This is the book of Isaiah chapter 54, verse 3. For thou shalt break forth on the right hand and on the left, and thy seed shall inherit the Gentiles, and make desolate cities be. Verse 4. Fear not, for thou shalt not be ashamed, neither be thou confounded, for thou shalt not be put to shame, for thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth, and shall not remember the reproach of thy widowhood anymore.
All right, so hold on. You see what is happening there? I mean, what they're doing is like they're filling the Venezuelan face with shame. As a matter of fact, they're filling all Israel's face with shame.
Right.
In the things that they do. But Venezuela is the one under the spotlight right now. I think the Venezuelan person with them swearing as president have to make some offer. What they offer them? 50 million barrels of oil. I tell the
When I vessel them,
one vessel, no, some oil with them for mine and turn over to them. As I
okay.
come, as it's like all right. The indemnity what France take from Haiti to recognize them is something like that. So they're going to give America some money, but they're giving it in oil, not cash.
Yeah.
And Trump did mention it. This is not for these oil companies that is coming in. They're not getting any of this or that money. Trump be face, basically telling them that they're not getting any of that money. That money is for, I don't even know where that money goes. Many of that money, a lot of that money probably going in financial in his pocket. All right, finish the scripture.
Verse 5. For thy maker is thine husband, the Lord of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the God of the whole earth, shall he be called.
All right, so I mean, we are like his wife, the Most High wife, and liken us Israelites as to a wife, and he is the husband. And just like how the husband is responsible for the wife, But we know we are like we Israelite today is like the woman, the woman who said that she is liberated today. I don't depend on my husband. My husband is not my protector. I have to this, I have to that for myself. That is us when it comes to the Most High God. Try to live our life believing that we can protect ourselves without Him. And we're making the same mistake, one tribe after another. So Esau now is able to play the same narrative on each of the houses of Israel. It's here, like I said, what he's doing now, he did it to Haiti. All right. There was Cuba, but Cuba don't really have nothing to take with. More than the businesses that the small hats moves in Cuba. Jamaica here. I mean, they come in here, they come in here. One maybe it's we next. That's why I hear I'm gonna tell Andrew, you could be next because what? There is something here that they still want. Maybe something that they see which we don't see. Right?
No.
They are looking ahead, And I'm talking about minerals. And not only that, wherever we as a people are, our strength and our labor is one thing that they need as well. Because they always want to put us to work because we got strong backs.
So okay. Yeah. Them US are threatening Cuba. Like, you know what I mean? With a regime change, you don't know where they are threatening them with yet, but they are planning to do something in Cuba. But Cuba is Russia only stronghold in the Caribbean. Understand? So if America eventually, you know what I mean, take control over Cuba, then country like Jamaica become, you know what I mean, hostile ground because now them are going to gain back an advantage. So in my mind, me I say Jamaica can be fair play for country like Russia. You know what I mean? Because if
with who in power?
Say that again.
I said with who in power?
It might not even, you know what I mean? The way me I pray, it might not even matter who in a power. It might just be a grab like how Venezuela was a grab.
Okay.
if the thing get too hostile, because now if Cuba, if them lose Cuba, which it seems like them are gonna lose Cuba, you know, because now Cuba don't have no source of funding and oil right now because of Venezuela. Then it might just be a grab and like a smash and grab, you know?
Yeah. Trump, hold on. Trump just tell them straight up, say, you're not getting no more oil.
Yeah. That put them in a sticky situation, a very, very sticky situation. Like if them lose Cuba, no, them not have no influence in the Caribbean none at all because Venezuela done fall already. Cuba fall. So you can't expect anything now because now America have the overwhelming advantage. You understand? And I don't think they would have liked that. That seems like them lose. So maybe like how Trump move reckless, you know, maybe them start move reckless to slacking.
All right. Well, the thing is, you know, he's bogged down over in Ukraine there.
Yeah, can.
So the Americans them strategically do that. And keeping him bogged down there while he's coming over here now. Because if he wasn't so bogged down, maybe he would have been in Venezuela stronger and being able to prevent an invasion like what happened.
Can. If Trump follow through with a Cuba move there, you know, he must set a serious precedent, a new precedent, you know, when now bigger countries can just go into any smaller country and don't regard, you know what I mean, no kind of sovereignty. You know what I mean? Just run in. Them weak, them can't defend themselves, just run in upon them. And just
you know what they want from Cuba, you know, is they want about the economic interest that the Castro regime took away from the small arts.
Okay.
Because the children of those businesses are still around.
Okay.
So they want back the Castro take away down to a gas station where man where them own, you know. All the big businesses.
Oh,
so they hear Donald Trump about them need to make a deal. At that thing in Cuba and they can do say, yeah, all right, give them about the business they want to do. So, you know, the sugar factories, I don't know, I suppose the oil refinery would have been theirs as well, the Americans.
Can.
You were saying something?
Me to ask you if the Jewish man did have that strong influence there in Cuba one night time.
Yes, man. He was the one running Cuba when Castro took over, man.
Okay, can.
He was the one with the influence behind what happened in 82.
Okay.
Which part in that Bible verse we read? We read 6 yet?
I think we just read 6.
The Lord hath called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved.
Yeah, we're not read that yet, sir.
Read that and we go on to the tape.
Can. Verse 6. For the Lord has called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth when thou was refused, saith the Lord.
Right. So the Most High has called us just like how you ever see a woman down and out and as poor as an machete, she look a rich man who come and take her up and fix her up, clean her up, brush her off and take care of her. Well, that's us and the Most High. A wife of youth when thou was refused, said God. Right? And that is the situation that we Israelites are in today. Can't even defend our own self. And it was always the Most High God who have to defend us. All right, share this. I'm going to play this tape. I think it says something like I had lost sound. You weren't hearing the sound, right?
Last.
Good. They're saying that I lost the sound. Tell me if you're hearing it now.
Dropped its anchor at Port-au-Prince. On board were hundreds of American soldiers on an official mission to reestablish peace. In reality, the mission had other objectives: to occupy the country and lay hands on its public finances for the benefit of New York's banking establishment.
You hear that part?
It kind of choppy. But
You heard that part?
Yeah, it kind of choppy still, but I hear the last part.
All right. In reality, it was to bail out the new institute to shore up the New York. If you know, this New York is one of the most financially strong state in America now. You know. Asian gold helped show them up.
To reestablish peace and order.
Right. So then going now and say we're going to reestablish peace and order in the country.
In Haiti. In reality, the mission had other objectives: to occupy the country and lay hands on its public finances for the benefit of New York's banking establishment. Over 19 years of occupation, massacres, rapes, and numerous other forms of abuse against the Haitian population.
So if it was the Germans who was their problem, how come so much dead Asians behind them? They weren't killing the Germans. They were killing the Asians because the Asians now have to, when they came in, the Asians have to form a resistance. If you weren't taking the people thing, they wouldn't have to form resistance. You understand?
Became common. Upon arrival, the Marines met no resistance, save one modest soldier by the name of Pierre Sully, who wanted to defend his country and refused to obey the Marines when they ordered him to lay down his weapon and leave the vicinity. He was killed in cold blood.
If you've been waiting for the best deal on this natural healing handbook, this is it. Since a lot of people said they were waiting for...
When they sail in,
the American admiral in charge of the...
There was no Asian Navy or Asian army to stop them. One soldier met them, and they had him to lay down his arm, and he refused, then kill him. You see? So all this was studied. They realized the country is open and up for the taking. So then build a story, just like how they do with our black towns, the Judah black towns in America, and black cities. They just come up with a story. Oh, they raped this black woman was sexual assaulted in an elevator. You know, like I hear about the Tulsa story, I hear about black woman sexual assault. You don't hear no name. Who was she? Where's the picture? Where's the evidence? Nothing. So it's the same thing here.
Operation began an immediate deployment of troops around the capital, first occupying strategic points and symbolic buildings, barracks, ports, custom houses, tax offices, the presidential palace, ministries, and courthouses. Starting in August 1915, the occupation spread throughout all port cities of the country. Soon, the Americans took total control of the state. The president of the Senate, Philippe Sud d'Artignave, accepted to be enthroned by the occupying power as the titular president of the republic. American businesses arrived on the island in the wake of the military and claimed the country's meager resources. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was at that time the Assistant Secretary of the American Marine Corps, drafted a new constitution for the Haitian state. This was a diplomatically liberal constitution, which would henceforth allow foreigners.
So yes, you see whose name was called? Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Okay.
You know, he was one of the presidents in the United States, eh?
Yeah, go on, go.
So obviously now he assisted them in this, so they make him president.
Mm-hmm.
It's all gang warfare.
Right.
When they talk about organized crime, these things that you see are happening, these are organized crime.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And who can stop them? Yeah, you would have to be able to back the American military to fight them before you can talk about you're going to stop them. And you can't fight the American military.
The right to own land in Haiti, a right that had been forbidden since 1804 and the proclamation of Haiti's independence by Jean-Jacques Dessalines. From the onset, the Haitian deputies refused to ratify this new constitution. In response, the Americans infiltrated the halls of the National Assembly and chased out the recalcitrant members of Parliament at gunpoint and forced the voting and ratification of their constitution. An American administrator, called a counselor, would be placed at the head of each of the nation's administrations. The puppet Haitian government, set up by the occupying forces, had no real power at all. The American counselors would make every decision, taking firm, direct control over the collection of revenue as well as the final word on every expenditure. They imposed martial law over the entire country. The press was under strict censorship, and anyone who dared to criticize would be thrown into prison. From the very start of the occupation, the Americans met determined resistance on the part of the Cacos, a movement led by Charlemagne Perrault. In 1918, a Cacos uprising was crushed by the Americans. There were thousands of victims. Abuse and excessive violence of all kinds was committed by the American troops. The civil rights activist James Weldon Johnson visited Haiti and wrote a report condemning the, quote, economic corruption, forced labor, censorship of the press, blatant racism, and wanton violence committed in Haiti under the American occupation, end quote. In this unspeakably violent photo, we see an American soldier in the process of executing a Cacos rebel. His hands were cut off before he was killed. On the ground lies the body of another man who was probably just executed. As shocking as this may seem, the American soldiers had full authority down from their hierarchy to kill Haitians, and they held no quarter.
Just like ice come out, in America, they are on the street, it's like they have full power. Anyway, we see how that one play out. But here in 1950, way back then, they didn't have no camera to give people a live update on what was happening. You used to have journalists who have to risk their life and get in the country and do the investigation on the ground. But today, you know, kind of different. You have a man who just take up his phone and can live stream something that is happening in real time. Right? That's a big difference now. But here, they tell a bag of lies. All you see in there is one whole heap of dead Asians. Let's see if you don't see any dead German.
The racism of certain American politicians of that era was evident. Robert Lansing, the American Secretary of State during the first years of the occupation, felt that it was absolutely necessary to intervene in Haiti because its black population was ungovernable with an inherent tendency to savagery. To better understand the context in which this occupation occurred, let's briefly review the events that led up to it. Between 1911 and 1915, Haiti was stuck in an unprecedented political crisis. The country changed presidents 6 times in only 4 years. Political assassinations and forced exile had become the norm. On February 22, 1915, Villebrun Guillaume Sam was elected president of the Republic. From the moment he came to power, he was confronted by the opposition of the revolutionary leader Rosalvo Bobo, former Minister of the Interior and a sworn enemy of the new president. In order to consolidate his power and impose his pro-American policy, the new president persecuted his political opponents, throwing them in prison. By the end of April 1915, he had imprisoned dozens of personalities hostile to his policies. But his situation became fragile because he provoked so much opposition. An important popular uprising succeeded in overthrowing his government. Yet, he maintained control of the situation and had 167 political prisoners executed, most of them from rich mulatto families who had links with the very influential German community in Haiti. The former president, Horace Zamor, one of his key opponents, was also executed. On the morning of July 26, 1915, the presidential palace was attacked. The president fled and took refuge inside.
So the presidential palace looked like the White House.
Gun.
A big dome up top there, so.
By the French embassy. An enraged crowd rioted in front of the embassy and demanded that Villebrun Guillaume Sam be delivered into their hands. They ultimately succeeded in invading the building, seizing the president, dragging him outside where he was massacred. His body was displayed by the crowd throughout the streets of the capital. The very next day after this drama, the American troops invaded the country. The president, Villebrun Guillaume Sam, played right into the Americans' game by persecuting the German community in Haiti. The Americans...
So you see, him now and try to please them and start persecute the German community. And that was what led to the help push the invasion. No matter how you see whites fighting whites, if you of another race start to fight any one of them, they're going to team up and come on.
Gun.
were very preoccupied with the role played by the Germans on the island and suspected that they were a threat to American interests. Indeed, by the beginning of the 20th century, the tiny German community in Haiti had amassed considerable economic power. It controlled a large part of the Haitian economy. But the German community was more integrated into the Haitian society than other Western communities. Some Germans had married Haitian women in order to find a loophole around the constitutional law that forbade foreigners from owning land in Haiti. German immigrants nevertheless maintained tight relationships with their home country, and the Americans suspected them of being part of a spy ring that Germany had set up in Haiti. In 1918, under the influence of the Americans, Haitian President Sud Dartignav declared war on Germany and confiscated all the wealth of the Germans living on the island. He also imprisoned a number of them, including prominent merchants and businessmen. At the end of the First World War, a number of Germans were deported from the country and had their possessions confiscated. The American strategy for maintaining control over the region explains many of the political reasons behind their invasion of the island. But the key reason was much deeper. There was another critical factor that pushed the United States to invade Haiti. That factor was an American bank, the National City Bank, ancestor of today's Citigroup.
Believe it or not, I will draw the person you will marry. One of my clients asked for a refund. She thought the man I sketched looked like her neighbor.
In taking control of the country's finances, the Americans could now systematically siphon off the country's revenue into a direct pipeline to New York bankers. Before the American occupation, the French bankers from the Banque Crédit Industriel et Commercial, CIC, controlled Haiti's national treasure from the comfort of Paris. The French bankers were merciless and even took commissions, imposed interest penalties, and excessive operation fees. The Americans planned to push out the French in order to wrestle from them the control over Haiti's finances. By the year 1920, Citibank had succeeded in acquiring the totality of the shares of the Haitian National Bank, and thanks to Haiti's debt, they achieved their greatest profits for the entire decade of the 1920s. One of the commanders of the
Hear that? And what caused it? The Haitian wealth that they stole. Same thing America going to do with the oil in Venezuela.
American Armed Forces in Haiti was General Smedley Butler, a mercenary at the service of international finance, with a background in destabilizing foreign nations. His written memoir entitled War is a Racket.
All right, so this man have a history of destabilizing foreign nations. They don't just get up and destabilize our country like that. They do a lot of underwork in it before you actually go to open war.
It was published in 1935, and in it he makes some shocking declarations. I spent 33 years and 4 months on active duty, and during that period, I spent the majority of my time as a hired hand for the business world, for Wall Street, for the bankers. Simply put, I was a racketeer, a gangster working for capitalism. I helped to make Haiti and Cuba a congenial place for the men of National City Bank to do business and make profit. But the truth...
Haiti and Cuba. This is how him right after him. I think after him leave, after him reach resignation stage, He start writing, must go write a book. I call it a memoir. Him no hide him out. He was a hand for hire for the banking institutions.
Gun.
Destabilizing this country and make them make the greatest profit they ever make.
True craftsman and architect of the American occupation of Haiti was Roger Farman, a powerful lobbyist from the National City Bank. He had the ear of America's most powerful policymakers. It was he who earlier had advised the pillage of Haiti's gold resources by the American Marines. It was in 1914, a year before the invasion, and several American soldiers entered the National Bank of Haiti and seized a quantity of gold worth $500,000 at the time, and made their way to New York, where the bounty was deposited in a Wall Street bank. The Haitian state denounced international banditry, a scandal, but the Americans justified the holdup, claiming that U.S. interests were in grave danger. In the spirit of efficiency, the Americans built some infrastructure in the country, the building of several major roads and public buildings, but using scandalous methods. They would arbitrarily evict local people from their land and imposed forced hard labor, close to slavery. Soldiers would tie the locals by rope and force them to work without compensation, gunning down anyone who would attempt to flee. Many farmers were chased from their land, joining the guerrilla movement alongside the Cacos. Others fled to Cuba or the Dominican Republic. In 1933, President Stenio Vincent came to power in opposition to the occupation. The presence of the American military in Haiti continued to provoke the hostility of the population. Any revolt was repressed with deadly force. Artists and writers began to take the front lines, denouncing the occupation and the brutality of the Marines. On August 7, 1933, Franklin Roosevelt, the newly elected president of the United States, signed a treaty that agreed to the retreat of the American troops, officially ending the occupation.
Right, so that play true because it's important that we fully understand what is happening in the Caribbean area. It's a replay of things here, which means you're going to have troop on the ground in America because in Venezuela, if these big oil companies going in, they are going to need security.
Gun.
It's just a matter of if they're going to use private contractors or the American military. Maybe it's the American military they use. Next scripture. Ezekiel 35. Can't go read all of it, but that's all we can read.
Gun. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 1.
No, we're going to start at 5.
Gun, verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Verse 6.
So this is the scripture that these people don't like you. They always try to take what you have.
Right.
It's like they think, certain things is just too good for you. That was what was happening in America when they start invading the black towns. These black towns were starting to look up. People, blacks had businesses, blacks going to school. They had their own facilities, their own airport. And some blacks have their own jet, have their own private plane. And many of them own planes that used to fly black people from black town to black town. A lot of commerce that was happening amongst the blacks. And they went in, studied them, killed them out. And next thing you know, they started about supply chain and all these things that they didn't have, which used to exist in these black towns. Right? You own several stores and you set up a supply chain. The blacks were mastering those things in their town. They were making money. Black families you had wealthy black families. Where are those today? The wealthy black man you have today, it means even once he's in America, he's afraid to talk against anything white. He's afraid to speak out. Which show you that them know how the whole thing works. But the Most High is telling you that they have a perpetual hatred for you, and they have always shed the blood of the children of Israel by what? The force of the sword. Today is what? That sword is a gun today. And at the time of our calamity, they always do these things. Verse 6.
Verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Sit, thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
Right. So the same thing they're doing to us, the Most High is preparing them for the same things. Since as you don't hate blood, let my blood pursue you. Next verse.
Verse 7. Thus will I make Mount Zion, Mount Seir, most desolate, and cut off from it him that passes out, and him that returneth.
Right, go on.
Verse 8. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, in thy hills, and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword.
Right. So he's going to bring, he did it already, and I'm going to do it again. So, you know, many people really say, oh, that thing that did happen already. Yeah, and it's happening again. It's going to happen again. Verse 9.
So okay, where's the continue?
Verse 9, right.
Verse 9. I will make thee perpetual. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Right. When he destroyed these cities, in Esau cities, this time, there's no coming back. Verse 10.
Verse 10. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there.
All right. So you know what you mean by these two nations and these two countries. At that time, when this was written, it was the northern and southern kingdom. The northern kingdom was called what was it? Samaria.
Okay.
The northern country was Samaria, and the southern country was Jerusalem. There was no country there called Israel. It was Samaria and Jerusalem, and they wanted to be. Well, I mean, they were able to see the wealth, you know, because that temple that we had in Jerusalem, you know, had many wealth in it, and it was a beautiful temple because it was, you know, you had real gold being overlaid and some of the works, artworks and things there. Plus, we had real gold in the storehouses of the temple, and we had leaders who were doing quite well. So they wanted, how industrious we were as a people. We want to possess these two countries because his blessing is the sword. Continue.
Verse 11. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will even do according to thine anger, and according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them, and I will make myself known amongst them when I have judged thee.
All right. So this is how he's going to make us know how powerful he is by judging. When you look and see how mighty Esau is today, and you know, and when you see him come down, I know the Most I bring him down. You're going to know how great he is. Bring him down and give you rest. Because really and truly enough, if we are being left alone as a people, we will make strides in it. Go on.
God, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies, which thou hast spoken against the mountain of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given us to consume.
Right. Basically, mountains of Israel, that is our leaders, you know, our government. I mean, you hear what I'm saying? They are for us. They were given unto us to consume. That's what they think of us. All right, 13. We can stop at 13.
God, verse 13. Thus with your mouth ye have boasted against me, and have multiplied your words against me. I have heard them.
All right. So, in other words, him speak against us, the Most High's people, he is speaking against God. And God is listening. They even don't know that. But here we're reading it and make him know. God is listening. All right, we're going last one, you know. Joel 2, 25 to 27. Yeah, close off with that one.
God. This is the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25. And it says, and I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten, the canker worm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great
All right,
army.
hold on. Let's go to the precursor to this. Joel chapter 1, verse 3 and 4. Don't throw away this. We're going to come back to this. But Joel chapter 1 explain what that chapter 2 is talking about.
So okay, so verse 2 and what? 3?
Joel chapter 2, verse 3 and 4.
Joel chapter 2, verse 3 and 4?
Yes.
Or 1?
No, man.
Okay. Same Joel 2.
Joel chapter. We're going to shift from Joel chapter 2, you know. We're going to Joel chapter. Chapter 1.
This is the book of Joel, chapter 1, verse 3. Tell ye your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation. Verse 4.
So this is how it goes, and this is how you know that this is how words pass on. You know, you teach these things to your children, and your children shall teach their children, and then that children are next generation. So this is something you pass on in kingdom. But Esau coming with a school now and coming with curriculum that erase all these things that we're supposed to be teaching our people. But the Most High is smarter than them because you have it in the Bible. Right? So it is being preserved nonetheless. That we can tell our children. What should we tell our children? Continue.
Verse 4. That which the palmer worm has left, as the locust eaten, and that which the locust has left, as the canker worm eaten, and that which the canker worm has left, as the caterpillar eaten.
So we are always being taken and eaten by our enemy, especially Esau. Then you go to chapter 2 now, and 25.
Gone. This is the book of Joel, chapter 2 and verse 25. And I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten, the canker worm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army which I send among you.
So imagine, you slavery. After slavery, there was what? Colonialism.
Gone.
And then in America now you have all kind of things, civil rights, this, that, Tana. And every era they come and I mean, they have never really think of building on what they take from you. They always just want so.
Right.
And then turn around call you, make our young men to be thief. They must always want, never being able to let you live on what you have. They're coming for Jamaica next. I have not next, they're coming for Jamaica at some point. Unless our leaders decide to be the puppet, which they are playing a good game at it. Michael had said, we're not going throughout the world on our knees, but we shall go throughout the world standing on our feet. He pay a price for that. All right. They make it into politics, but it is more than just politics. You said this now. Oh yeah, Michael, man. I want to say other things now that is if you speak now and they say, okay, Andrew did this and it was a good thing. Oh, you are a laborer. But it's more than that. This is the trick that our oppressor has played on us. Get you divided by being one of these political houses, which you don't need to belong to any of them.
Right.
Defend what Christ said to defend. Keep the laws, and God will do what is to be done. He said he will restore us the years that the locusts have taken, the canker worm, the caterpillar, the palmer worm. He will do it. Read 26 now.
Gone, verse 26. And ye shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, that has dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be ashamed.
We shall never be ashamed. Right now we're in some situation where it's as if, we are in a situation that makes us feel ashamed. But he's saying that he's going to restore us, that we shall not be ashamed. Read on.
Gone, verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am the Lord your God, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed.
Right. When this happened, hold on. When this happens, we shall know that he's in the midst of us. He's the one who is working things out for us. Right? It's not by our strength. I mean, we have tried strength so many times. Even the Asians. From the time of the Asian Revolution, when the Americans came in, there was a resistance, and it was all thrown down, all put to naught, right? The Venezuelan Che Guevara, Castro, I mean, they do a lot of liberation and they come right back to the same thing now. The same man who you think you overthrow, he's now back right there in the backyard telling you, boy, you better make a deal or we're going to overthrow you. So, you know, there's one way out. Christ showed us how to fight this enemy and to gain victory over him permanently. That is by keeping those laws. All right? So, with that, you know, we think we can close for this week. What, any input? Comment? Statement? Huh?
Last.
All right, so you want to take us out?
Come.
All right, so shalom. Until next week, Yabashima Shabrakata.
And with that, like the page, follow, subscribe, you know the thing already. Shalom.